I met some kids on my recent trip to Zimbabwe who were also flexing. These guys know what life is about. Bro, they have their thirst quenched.
The real wealth, if you ask me.
Damn.
Dude, and it's got some condensation on it too. You can tell it's some cold water.
It's looking better than a blinged out piece of ice on your wrist.
Double fisting, yeah.
He's melting ice in his hand.
That is ice. That's liquid ice. So happy Otaya Yamaguchi Day, everyone. On this day, October 12th, in 1960, Otoyo Yamaguchi took out the leader of the Socialist Party of Japan on live TV with a samurai sword.
Look at him, he's stabbing the guy right there live.
Wow.
This was The Last Samurai. Fuck Tom Cruise or whatever that movie was.
Man.
But before we do that, welcome to Ancient Wisdom, y'all. We're starting the show. We're getting into it. We got a word of the day. Adamantine. Which means, do you know what that means? Anyone heard this before? Besides from Wolverine on the X-Men? Adamantium, remember that?
No, that's
his
a character.
claws. No, his claws were made of adamantium. It was like a fake,
element.
Invincible.
fake element.
Indestructible.
Yeah, unbreakable, indestructible. That's basically what it
Adamantine.
means.
Wish I had some adamant.
But I didn't know till like the other week that it's a real word. They just stole it and put iom at the end of it,
which is
to
why
become
it
like
was,
an element.
Which is why it was such a descriptive adjective.
Perfect. I know, right? I'm like,
like,
wow. It's like there's actually reason to the things that people do. And guys, there's geniuses out there. So just reminding y'all to just be yourself. No. Just reminding people.
Just do your best.
Just do your best. All right? That's all we're asking from you. Be adamantine. Be unbreakable, y'all. But like maybe the first person that said it was probably pretty deep. You know, 3,000 years ago. They're just like, just do your best, man.
Got diluted over time.
Man, am I pissed? You think I can? And then, it just gets diluted over time.
You really think I can?
You got this, pal. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Am I supposed to say that? Yes. Like, comment, subscribe. We're dumber than ever, and we become easy to control, guys, because we're living in the ancient past. We're not in the future. We're in ancient times. But let's start off this show with a little bit of
Culture is not your friend.
Have you guys heard of this term, the Judas goat?
Never.
No.
It is the goat that's the most trained of all goats. That is the shepherd's best friend, because the Judas goat leads the rest to the slaughter. And you realize that's kind of what we become. That's what marketing wants us to become, is the Judas goat. And you realize that nobody really has any real opinions. And the fact that they are trying to force us against each other, they are trying to profit off of the divisiveness. So much so, I mean, this is just in the news, so we'll talk about it. So much so that they convince you that killing and genociding another race is totally cute. When did that happen? And I got a list here. I says, think about all the things that are totally cool now. Totally cool. Let's fucking murder Putin. Let's kill him. That's totally cool. You could say that anywhere. You could say that on YouTube anywhere you want. Let's go back in time and murder Hitler. Let's murder baby Hitler. You ever notice no one ever talks about let's go back in time and show Hitler some good Jews. Let's change his life so that he has a better outcome. So that when's the last time you heard that? Ever? Never? No, they all say murder a baby.
Yeah, maybe change his perspective, but no, just end his life.
Facts. No change his perspective.
Before he gets traumatized by the world.
Yup. No, give him more opportunities. No, say, hey, great job. Your paintings are actually really nice. But instead, you murder baby Hitler. Sometimes not even baby. How about this? Support war. Support untested medications. When did this become okay? Isn't that funny? We've all become this Judas goat. From beginning to end, we're leading each other to the slaughter. And that is the goal of media, is to make us become the Judas goat.
And when has there been forced, untested medication in the past?
Forced.
Allegedly.
You're right. And not only that, it's forced and it's pushed. It's pushed as good. Just like it's pushed as good right now to support Israel or to support Palestine. When did this happen? Isn't that pretty funny? I think it's these certain, objective evils perpetuated. And not only that, but they're kind of mandatory. And what it really comes down to, I think, is people having a thought, an original, unique thought to themselves. When did people stop thinking for themselves? Is it easier, Poach, to just take what is given to you now? Why is it? Do we not have any? Here's a better question, right? We know that our news is coming from the media companies. Do we just think that media loves us? Media cares about us. They love us. They want what's best for me.
I think the left thinks that the government and media actually loves them and cares about them.
Wow, you think so?
I think that's, yeah.
Wow.
See, conservatives know that you can't really always trust the government. Pretty much never. That's the whole basis of conservatism.
Yeah,
right?
smaller government.
Yeah. I think the left loves trusting the government because that's what socialism is. They love trusting the government and the media.
Right.
They
For socialism to work, you would need to trust the government.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like sort of one of the...
That's like the starting point. That's why you can't fit it in your head, Mitch.
Right, yeah.
Because you want nothing to do with that ideology.
Love the government.
Guess, yeah, from their point of view, that's step one of socialism, is
but
trust
then
the
these
government.
socialists talk about like, but big business is evil. Yo, you the government is the biggest business of all. You think Jeff Bezos doesn't even care about me, but then you're going to order everything you fucking own on his website? Thy hypocrites.
There's just a lot of, it correlates with a lot of naivete on the liberal side. They just, they haven't experienced enough in life. Schopenhauer had another quote about that. I wish I could remember, but basically.
It's a Nietzsche week, Evan.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I keep accidentally dropping philosophers' names too. Only Nietzsche today.
Only Nietzsche today, y'all. Y'all be limited to Nietzsche. Actually, that's our next session, so we're going to learn more anyway.
I forget.
Be you, dog. Be you.
I forget what I was going to say, though.
Well, I apologize for that, but in being you, I'm going to talk about having a unique opinion, even if it's dumb. Like, what is stopping you? Now, that's a big one. I think that's tied in, right? We believe the media because we don't have an opinion of our own. Would you guys say that that's somewhat accurate? That also is tied into, like, believing that the government and the media love us?
Thinking for yourself is more difficult. It's challenging.
Right. It's more difficult. Mm-hmm. And also, if you maybe have the wrong opinion, you get made fun of or something like that, which is why the liberals are also against that as well. You can't bully, man. Can't make fun of me, which is funny. Yeah, exactly, right? Which is funny too, because you can't bully me for having a wrong opinion, but my opinion is the same opinion as everybody else's opinions. Are those conflicting, or are those meant to be there for the same purpose? Isn't that funny? Like, if I did think differently from the crowd, you can't make fun of me, you can't bully me, you can't say I'm dumb. But I don't, so don't worry about that. I love vaccines. You ever think about that? Are those two related? Like, flat Earth is fun, y'all. Am I wrong in that statement? No. Can I not talk about the Earth being flat? When did they kill fun? Maybe that's the bottom line. You guys want to talk about that? When did they kill fun? When did they kill the difference in people? They talk about being accepting, but we can't have differing opinions. And that's where the fun comes from. That's where comedy comes from. You think you got it all figured out? That's why you're not fucking funny, because you never bounced your ideas off somebody. You never had a back and forth. That's literally the essence of comedy, is misdirection. You cannot misdirect yourself. It doesn't work. That's not how it works.
Yeah, the educators and our family members definitely get rid of the fun early on when we don't see the obvious fun that we're having being reciprocated at the same time, or someone showing equal amount of enjoyment. It's got to be so
serious.
Yeah, yeah. Fun isn't supposed to be serious, and when people are serious, they I don't know, they could be making a mistake and living a miserable life.
It goes back to the parental system is also like the education system now. I watched this video the other day talking about like, education system was based off of the Prussian system brought to America by the Rockefellers and Carnegie to get workers who will sit down, shut up, and do what they're told. And Listen to the bell in the factory, the bell in the school, based on the same thing. Whereas these children of the elites, they actually get to have focus skills, do what they want, see how they find value in the world. They didn't want any artists. They didn't want musicians. They wanted workers. They didn't want people to think for themselves. They did not want philosophers. This is all written down. This is all documented. This is real stuff.
People who think for themselves won't go to war.
Yes. Oh, that's a huge one, too.
Oh, nice.
Damn.
And at the same time, these systems, just for mere industriousness and making money in the Industrial Revolution, it was profitable. It worked well, actually, for there to be a lot of money in the cycle of everybody's pockets. You know what I mean?
In the education system, you're saying?
In the idea to train people to become skilled laborers in machine factory drones kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was a well-oiled machine. It worked really well.
Yeah, straight up.
In the early 1900s when all that stuff happened.
It's weird how these political philosophies tie together, because I've always been being accused of being a hippie or a communist. Because think about it, I'm saying, why can't you just accept a little less profits for the working man, But especially back then, they did not do that. They had more money than today's richest dudes by a lot. Mostly because there was no income tax at the time. Did you guys know that? There's no income tax during Rockefeller and Carnegie times. So they had like $1 trillion. Something insane that countries have now that we can't even think about. You
also have to look at where did the funding for these schools come from? Was it called the Rockefeller Institute of Higher Education?
Yeah, it probably was.
Was it? Yeah.
That's exactly what it's called.
And the money's coming from the owner of all the workers. Why? To train more workers.
Yeah, but then it fuels itself because you're training workers to not think for themselves, so they don't look into what the institute is even called.
So you like design the education curriculum and pay the school only for what you want it to teach them.
Oh man, that's a hot take, especially because like you said, I like it one. The real people who think for themselves don't go to war, and like war means so much more to me. Means everything. It means you won't work for me until you're dead. Work your fingers to the bone. It means you won't believe what I tell you, and now they own the media companies as well. It means you won't believe me when I say war is great and we have to pick a side. Russia is bad. Ukraine is good. Like, that's so insane to me. People are dying left and right, but one person is good and one person is bad. What is that? Where does that come from? That's insane how on YouTube I could say and talk about how I'm going to kill Putin. And that's totally fine. I've seen it done. But you can't talk about Ukraine.
The slow, over time war, I think, has more of an impression on people's minds than... or it has less of an impression on people's minds, even though it's the most nefarious type of warfare, doing things behind the scenes and building up the propaganda for years at a time.
Right.
But that's why people don't see it and they believe such lies so easily. But violence right in front of your face, these people that remain children all their lives, they don't believe violence until it's right there in front of their face.
Yeah.
But they don't see the more nefarious things beyond the horizon, even though that's the devil's in the details for sure.
Evan has a point, because I haven't heard anything about Ukraine or Russia since this Israel thing started. And I'm pretty sure more deaths have happened there over the course of the time.
Absolutely.
But like you said, Mitch, we're going to support the hottest thing, the latest thing.
Yeah, that's right. I support the hottest thing.
Nothing changed in Ukraine, Russia, and I just stopped hearing about it.
They're still fighting, but it's not cool anymore, Poge.
Can I get your reaction
hot
on a quote I heard, guys, from this Republican guy I follow on the internet, and he said that Israel is comparing their 9/11 to some disaster that they recently had where a lot of Jews died or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, that's actually really like 10 9/11s, because if you adjust for the numbers and the size of the population, that's actually...
Oh, they were adjusting our 9/11 to their population?
They're like 3,000 dead 9/11 people in America really compares to like a small fraction to the amount of people percentage-wise that were killed in Israel. And I'm like...
Because our country's so big and they're so small?
And I kind of... I commented it. I was being a keyboard warrior a little bit. But I was just like, did you just adjust a death count?
Yeah.
Like,
that's literally what they just did.
Exactly.
Happens to the best of us.
But that's just such an odd thing to adjust for deaths, like which deaths were worse.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Wow.
And it's like he was making that argument.
Kind of bad.
That's unfathomable.
Why would you even say that? Just leave it alone.
It's two separate things.
Yeah. That's unfathomably retarded.
Don't even call it Israel's 9/11. Call it Israel's October 5th or whatever it was. You know, I don't know the exact day.
But I mean, that's a hot take, especially with this topic, because it's the thing that people can't think for themselves. They take what they know. 9/11. Oh, you're Hitler. Oh, this is the Holocaust. But you don't even know that. You don't even know what the fuck you're saying. And I was thinking the other day that people will complain in America all day because they don't have these freedoms. And then I'm just like, thinking along the lines, I said, you know who won't be complaining in 3 years from now? Probably the people who are going through a fucking holy war right now and watching their family burn. Because you've actually seen it. You've actually gone through it. Somebody that actually knows and isn't just saying a fucking empty statement anymore. Finally, you know, they're going to probably be the ones with the wisdom in a couple years. They're going to be the ones that be like, oh no, America, you're actually being pretty stupid right now.
Yeah, they're not.
When you see it for yourself,
they're not going to be changing their profile pictures on Facebook or something.
Exactly.
To match the current trend.
I bet feminism is totally dead in Israel right now. I bet they're not going to put any flags in their Instagram accounts if they even fucking do that. When shit gets real, I don't even know why people cannot even imagine that. Like, all right, sure, I've never been in a war, but I can imagine it, and it doesn't sound great. Think about these stories. Even if the stories you hear are fake because of propaganda, like, just imagine it, because shit has happened in the past. It's like absolutely ridiculous, but no one will think for themselves. Nobody will step outside the box and have a take for fear of the system.
And about the naivete thing earlier, I've asked this question to some liberal women that I've met in my life. I say, do you think the average person is a good person? And they're like, yeah, I think so. Like clockwork. For some reason, they all kind of believe that. And I found that was very interesting because these are also like hardcore leftist feminists that I've asked this question to.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. You didn't expect that from them.
Yeah, I'm like, why do you clearly don't see the best in all people based on your actions, but you're saying that you do? Right. It's just very odd to me.
It is very odd, dude. And it's like this weird cyclical nature again. You'd expect a Christian to say that or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
All people are inherently good. But you see these lefty women who hate everybody and never take a opportunity to miss a chance to scream at somebody. It's kind of funny.
I think it's almost a way of saying I'm good because I believe most other people are good.
Oh, there it is. More virtue signaling. That's all they resort to. That's all they rely on.
Or because they don't want to look at themselves and admit that most people are terrible. And they would be included in most if they were to say most people are terrible.
Whoa. It just goes back to Psychology 101, guys. I hate to break your minds, but it's just like when people are talking, they're usually talking about themselves. Think about it. You know this in your heart. They're not talking about people say. You're probably talking about yourself. You don't believe these things you're saying. You're trying to push yourself on. That's why I always come back to the idea of, is it evil or is it stupidity with a lot of this stuff?
You're saying that everything is subconscious. Like everything that you really argue is something you subconsciously...
I really think so, dog. I think it's a fundamental principle about who we are. We always speak from our own perspective.
Maybe from our insecurities. Maybe not even our perspective. Maybe some people just speak from their insecurities.
Right. The subconscious even. Even if you're not aware of it, it's like you're most likely talking about yourself, unless it's a factual external statistic or something like that. You're talking from your own perspective. Yeah, that's messed up. People are inherently good. That's like a rough question too. What was your question to these girls? You said,
do you think the average person is a good person?
Average person is a good person. Yeah, that's a tough one. It's a little tricky. I don't even know how I would answer that. It's tough.
But that's kind of like the Jedi mind trick that's the first NPC, the person who got the Jedi mind trick done on them. They just are believing what they've been told. I think stupidity is like the child of evil, because evil invokes stupidity.
Is the child of evil. That's a hot take. Stupidity is the child.
Can definitely let evil get by.
Yes, it's almost an ally of evil, because it's like a gazelle in the field next to you. It's not going to do you any good or bad.
God, it's all so deep. It's all so confusing. My head hurts. Which way is up? I don't know anymore. Guys, I want to move on. Let's get to the next one. I want to talk about some ancient wisdom review. This doesn't really have a...
we don't have a drop.
We don't have a drop, so let's just get into it. Guys, I want to talk about a little preview of my release next Wednesday, Nietzsche's Antichrist, and maybe get your ideas on a few of these quotes he's talking about. And some of these seem more relevant than ever here, such as, the process of evolution does not necessarily mean elevation. Man has become degenerate.
I like that one.
Isn't that hot?
A lot.
It is.
We evolve... But do we really? Does that mean we get better?
We evolve through time.
Right. And yet again, evolve, like, what does that mean? Oh, I have evolved the ability to stand upright, so now I could hunt better. We do things better for...
It's supposed to be for survival.
For survival, our survival purposes.
Only.
Yeah. Only.
That's what evolution claims.
That's deep. So I like that, right? But as humans... biblical narrative or otherwise, we constantly think, would you guys agree, when people like to think that they're above just survival? We want to have meaning. We want to have purpose. We want to have relationships. But when we evolve, it's just strictly survival.
And that's why I think evolve might be the wrong word. And I don't think I'm the first one to say this, but I think we more so adapt, because we are degenerating right now, clearly. For sure, in like our quality of life and happiness and peace in life.
Would you say adapt then is a better word?
Yeah, I think we...
for more than their survival.
Right, I think we adapt to the environment as opposed to evolve past or progress.
Okay, I think Evan's having a hot take here. We're adapting to our technological future.
Yeah, our new age.
It doesn't mean we're evolving.
Yeah, we don't evolve into it.
Maybe
adapt.
we're done evolving because we're not surviving. We don't need to survive anymore.
Oh, man!
We don't need survival, so we're done evolving. We're just adapting to the current future state. There's no evolution occurring anymore. We're done with that.
It's almost like we're adapting to the technology that we've created.
Right.
Yes, and I think evolution still probably exists, but it's not going to be seen how it used to be seen or something like that. Like, it's much more subtle.
We're going to evolve to have phones like hanging off our
heads. Like something like that.
There's going to be a phone clip on my head.
Well, it still has to be like survival. Like, for example, when I took too many mushrooms in the woods one time and got lost, I thought I was going to die.
But you survived.
But yes, but the fact is, you can find yourself, death finds you. Death can find you in where you don't even expect it. I thought I was just going to have a nice, fun day in the woods. But then all of a sudden it finds you. You forgot to bring water. You made a stupid mistake. A bear shows up, bites off your leg. Oh my God, shit just got real. You know, you come down with a disease. Oh my God, shit just got real. Life can hit you like that. And that seems like more of a survival thing, but it's much more subtle than it used to be, because death is not, it still is lurking around every corner, but we have so many fail-safes.
Wow, that's what's wrong with everything. Too many fail-safes. No one's really experienced the death and suffering and misery out there in the world.
100%, dude. That's where feminism came from. We talked about that the other week. Society is so safe now. Safer than it used to be. We've
packaged away death.
Yeah.
It's almost a fantasy thing. We've packaged it away and made it so clean.
Only in the movies.
Yeah. We did. And we kind of push it away. I think the philosopher has always embraced death, or maybe even, dare I say, the average person in the past, because you knew it was coming. You saw a dead guy on the floor. There wasn't even ambulances to come take him away to the morgue.
There was no hospital. You just, the person died in your house and you buried him in the backyard.
Facts,
The priest came over to you.
Yeah, the priest came to you.
And I have to say,
let the dead bury the dead.
There's a big parallel I thought about immediately, which was the Buddha in his early life.
Yes,
where he didn't know how much suffering was in the world until he left his palace.
Story!
Until he left his palace, then he became really depressed immediately and went out to find himself.
The Buddha is the story of right now. Right. Whoa, that's a hot take, man, because the Buddha is the story of right now. Holy shit. The Buddha has been eternal. He was if y'all don't know, he was raised in the palace. He never witnessed any type of suffering, which means he never witnessed any type of life because his parents were the king and queen who ruled everything. So they gave him bitches, they gave him money, they gave him the freshest fruits, and he didn't want it anymore. That kind of seems like today. So many people are depressed. They hate their life because they have everything. It's so easy. Feminism promised all these things of equality, all these fake words. There is no equality. It's all just marketing buzzwords. Why can't you guys see beyond that? We invented words. We made up words. They're not real. You're in a trip. You're on an acid trip and you're going to die one day. Words don't exist. These are just buzz things to make you feel a certain way and be controlled and manipulated more easily.
I think the Buddha had to go out there and obtain some kind of gratitude for everything he has because he's never had to work. He never had to lift a finger, so of course he's going to become a fat kid if the Buddha was fat.
Yeah, who knows? Actually, I think that was a fake Buddha.
Right, but whoever the Buddha was, he.
I like the word gratitude, but I'd go farther and say that there was just no life at all.
True.
If you were, there's literally nothingness, and I know it's so hard for people to imagine. But if you were just given, that's what the tale is. That's what's so deep about it. Even if this is not real, even if you don't believe in Jesus, even if you don't believe in the Buddha, whatever, it's just a tale that's been passed on throughout time. And it's trying to tell you something, that when you have it all, you don't even have life. You don't have the full experience. If you've never worked for something and it's just great all the time, I think that that you're inherently missing something. I think there's a huge part of yourself that's lacking, and you'll do whatever it takes to even suffer.
Never becoming yourself, really.
Right.
Never really
experiencing all the sides of yourself.
Right.
I also think that it's tougher in the modern time, but it needs to be done more, because in the modern time we're basically living in a machine designed to just suck happiness out, just to keep us busy. We're in a thing that has been built for hundreds of years, perfectly tuned to keep us working for the people in charge.
Man, that's why one of my scariest thoughts as a youth was like, what if aliens are already here, but they don't feed on gold like cowboys and aliens, but they feed on your happiness? You know what I'm saying? What if they feed on positivity, like your thoughts, and they try to keep you in a miserable state?
The media definitely works like that.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe the media are the aliens, man. We need to do it within the wall.
Wow, yeah, it really makes you question if everything's psychic energy in the world.
Dude, one of my darkest thoughts, because it's here. Like, all this stuff can be proven that it's around us, but we just don't know how to access it. Much like the Bob Lazar stuff. Like, the aliens are so ahead of us that we don't even know. We can't even comprehend.
They're just leaving the scraps for us, the misery state, and
the bare minimum. And dude, I was tripping out, and I says that makes too much sense for how humans actually interact, how humans live. Think about it. Every philosopher you ever read just talks about life is suffering. But from the Buddha, straight up, he's like, we have to. The Eightfold Path, the Noble Truths. Number one is life is suffering. It's like, should that be how it is? Is that how it is? Is that just life? Is that God? Is that an evil, malignant force? Who knows? But let's ask Nietzsche. He says, whatever a theologian regards as true must be false. Now, I vibed on that one. I'll start the conversation on this one, because right off the bat, I just thought of who's the modern preacher? Who's the modern theologian? CNN. Like, whatever it hit me, I says, oh my God, I'm a fool. Even I could be foolish. Yo, we could all be foolish. CNN might be the greatest news source on planet Earth, but you have to see it properly. If you know that everything that they say to you is an absolute lie, and then if you see it in the exact opposite way that they tell you, it might be the greatest news source on planet Earth.
Wow.
Think about it. Am I wrong?
You could get all the hot stories from CNN.
CNN might be the greatest news source on planet Earth. They're giving us the news. They're giving us the evil message. They're giving us, think about it. CNN is giving us the evil message straight from the evil source.
We're all agreeing on what to hate together through CNN.
That's right. And if you absolutely believe the exact opposite that they're telling you, you might be very dangerously close to truth.
Well, that is somewhere in the Bible, too. It's like it's easy for the light to see the darkness, but not the other way around.
Ah, yes. Much like you thieves know.
Thieves?
Yeah, don't be robbing a house with a flashlight.
Oh, thieves.
Yeah, they could see you.
It's not just for your vision. Others can see.
Yeah, that's right. When you look out at nighttime, everyone can see you if the window's open.
Yeah.
But you can't see shit out there.
So Nietzsche was just not down with any men of God, any theologians.
You know, good question, Poach. He liked the Jews a little more.
Than the Christians? Not much more, but he liked the Buddhist most of all. He didn't really have anything bad to say about the Buddhist. Basically talking about how it was this dope religion based upon... Like Buddhism is for a dying civilization, for people who have already got rid of the concept of God. And I kind of like that. It's true, because Buddhism doesn't have a God. Mm-hmm. They already got rid of that a long time ago. And that Christianity is for like the birth of civilization, because it sort of needs a God. Because the Son of God, you need all these explanations talking about how the Buddhist doesn't need an explanation. By the first noble truth, life is suffering. 3 words. But if you talk to a barbarian, Nietzsche says, they need to know why they suffer. Right? Why do I suffer? How many people you talk to? Why is God doing this to me?
Why is God doing this to me? Exactly. I need to know. No, you're missing the point. Life is suffering.
The problem becomes when you ask why.
Right.
Question's already answered.
It's the beginning and the end. And another thing I might add too, just like going off my own philosophy, why is just another made-up word. It's a question. Have I ever gone on this rant? I really like it because you could say who, what, where, when. It's all you could have a one-word answer for all of those. But why? How? Those require sentences. Am I right?
Yep.
Who, what, where, when, why? Who, what, where, when? You could answer in one word. It's almost yes or no. It's factual or not. But, I mean, they're still made up things, but they're much more honest than why and how.
Yeah, why is futile because it doesn't really change any
and there is no
around
answer.
The situation.
Yeah, facts. How many fights have you got into? It's just like, Evan, where were you? I was out.
Yep.
I was at this place. I could tell you. Why did you? Oh, now that's when the trouble starts.
Right.
It's very dishonest, in my opinion.
I think when someone asks why to somebody, like why were you in that situation, you could say, oh, when were you there this time? What were you doing? I was doing this. And why were you there?
Yep.
I think it's a very
emotional.
Yeah, it's emotional, and it's a very controlling way to like scrutinize somebody's entire thought process.
You got it, pal.
Thanks, pal.
I was gonna say something very similar. It's true. Y'all could use this. It's asking for a fight. Don't ask me a question. That's dangerous. You can hurt someone with that, especially when you're asking me why. Think about it. Every time you got in trouble is why, because your answer is not going to be good enough. No matter what you say, your answer will never, ever be good enough. Why you did something. First of all, because you don't know yourself. Why is a fake, dishonest, emotional question.
Very egotistical question, too. And
right.
It kind of makes sense now why children use that word so much. Because they're so actually curious about the entire world before them because they need that ego to suck things out of their world and extract information.
And the end will always be because I told you so.
Right. Right. And then you have some parents that get so mad. I don't know.
I don't fucking know.
Stop asking me questions. I've seen people get so mad at the children asking them, like, this really isn't a reason to be upset.
Yeah, there's got to be an end.
You just reach your limit. You're getting too involved with your ego.
Right, so maybe you don't know, and that's why you get mad as well, because you think that why is a real question, and you've bought into the lie. Why is very manipulative. It's very deceptive.
Death of fun.
The death of fun.
And because when you ask the question why, you're not having fun anymore. It becomes serious almost, because it's just like, why? Because that's just what life ended up being. It
could be fun. You could tell a story. You could lie. You could say anything. You could say because the earth is flat. You could still have fun with it.
Right.
But it's typically not. Every time I've ever had a fight with somebody, it's, why did you do that? Your question is fake. And you want to fight me right now. You want to fight me. You're judging me because you wouldn't have done it the same way. And honestly, it's mostly this liberal or woman mindset where you're supposed to be the more caring, the more open-minded one. But you're not.
You're questioning someone's entire thought process and existence. How did you find yourself in that scenario at that point in time at this?
Why don't I tell you why my parents had sex? Why don't I tell you why they wrote the Bible? Why don't I tell you why the Big Bang happened?
You guys ever?
I got off on.
Right.
You guys ever hear that judgment is the killer of creativity?
Judgment is the killer of creativity.
I agree with that.
That sounds good. Where did that come from?
I heard it somewhere. Can't tell you where. I'm full of quotes.
Yeah, that's right. Whoa, see, that's pretty hot because it makes me think about both sides of like the artistic spectrum. Not the autistic spectrum, y'all. Artistic. You have those who do art, and then you got the reviewers.
The critics.
The critics. The reviewers can't do the art, so they just talk shit about it.
I was going to point to the viewer.
Go for it.
That's you. That's the critic.
That's you, y'all. The critic. There's people who do, and there's people that do not, but that's fine too. But we have to realize that there's a lot of people out here in the world. How about I translate Dao Chapter 11? For the hard, put you in a very tranquil mood. But all right, let me know what y'all think about this one. It's very straightforward, I think. Mitch translates the Dao, chapter 11. The 30 spokes make one wheel, but where they are not is the usefulness of the cart. Molded clay acts as a vessel, but the space inside is its usefulness. Chisel out a window, and the absence of a wall is its usefulness. Therefore, existence is the benefit, but non-existence is the usefulness. Woo!
If I may.
Go for it, dog.
It sounds like everything is exactly in its place as it needs to be, where it needs to be. It's performing the function that it was meant to do.
Good take.
And it kind of relates back to the why question earlier. This basically shuts down the why question in every context because life just feels like playing out that way. That's the answer to every why question there is.
Right. A flow state, if you will.
Right.
Very true. It makes me think of being in two places at once, like we talked about the other day, the two sides of everything making the full spectrum. It's like, because the answer to why, there are two sides of this spectrum. There are two sides of it that makes the full, the existent, the non-existent, the being, the non-being, the life, the death. And if you see them as separate, you won't understand the full image that it's trying to convey.
Yeah, and to dissect the first line, the 30 spokes make one wheel, but where they are not is the usefulness. If you got a wheel on top of the cart, it really doesn't help the entire vessel. It doesn't contribute anything.
True, right?
To
in the
cart
space between, like, you can't have the full thing. You need the lack of space.
Right.
The window is the lack of space, and it's kind of funny. It has these three examples and kind of a summary in the last line. It's one of the most straightforward yet mystical sort of interpretations, that the non-physical part of what it is makes it actually useful. much like, I think I even had a note in here talking about, much like life in general, because you have to see life from the standpoint of death. Otherwise, life doesn't even exist. You have no standpoint from which to judge it. And I guess there's a few translations. I finally chose existence at the end. Therefore, existence is the benefit, but non-existence is the usefulness. But I chose that because it zooms out to mean life in its entirety. Because of that, it zooms out. Existence, what is there, but that's not why it's there, for example.
Yeah, and you can't define existence without non-existence. Otherwise, you would just be immortal. And
the best example, I think, is example 2, because molded clay acts as a vessel, but the space inside, to hold the water, to hold the liquid, is the usefulness. Wow, it's empty.
It's almost like...
But it's the usefulness. It's almost like the straightest example towards the human body and the soul, right? I think that's why he had to put that in there as well. Because the vessel is often quoted as being the body itself, but what's inside the vessel is what matters, the soul. What were you going to say, Poge?
You kind of stole it, but
nice. Yes,
yeah.
It's the greatest example. It's the most straightforward example. Like the wheels, interesting.
Yeah, I actually like the window one.
The window's pretty hot too, right?
Because it's like you're destroying this wall. The point of the wall is to be there to block stuff out,
right?
But let's put a hole in it. Boom! Now we can see the light.
And it's yeah. Sorry, I was going to say you can block stuff with your wall more efficiently now because you could see things that are coming to destroy your wall before it gets to the wall.
Wow, good points, guys. And it's like I would even see it as like the definition of a window is almost like a Y itself, because the window is defined by something that doesn't exist. The window is the absence of the wall, but the wall not being there is like a good addition to the wall. There's no window if there's no wall.
Yeah, I could just see a wife in the ancient past being like, "Why are you cutting a hole in the wall? You're going to ruin the wall."
Yeah.
It's like, it's to see farther.
It's to see the enemy, a little porthole, if anything.
You could extend
some kind
this
of
to
light
something
in here.
like something like food.
Right.
Food is only worth something if there's nothing inside of you.
Yeah.
Right. If you have stuff in you, food is useless.
Right, or a person to even enjoy it, right? Mm-hmm. Wow. That is pretty cool. It is the emptiness, the non-existence that's a usefulness. Or you could say, right, the energy that the food creates is like this non-existent sort of thing. The food is what's existent, but the nourishment is sort of non-existent, but that's the use of the food.
You must destroy the food into nothing.
Yes, whoa, it's almost that the destruction, which could be another word for existence and non-existence, because it's a loose translation that means a lot of things, frankly. And the destruction of the thing, much like death is the destruction of the body, the digestion is the destruction of the food, which causes the actual thing to have purpose, to have a usefulness.
Yeah, it's like sardines and krill. Some of them are the sole food source for some whales. If it wasn't for them, whales would die.
Damn.
And it seems like such an insignificant fish in the ocean, these giant swarms, but
oh my God, the food chain.
Yep.
Is Lao Tzu talking about the food chain?
Everything.
We wiser than we used to be? Have you enjoyed this episode of Ancient Wisdom? Guys, I think it's episode 29.
That's right.
We're almost at 30. Oh my God. We've been filming for a while. This has been an afternoon episode of Ancient Wisdom. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself.
You mean noon on Sunday?
Noon on Sunday. This will be premiering.
When this is.
You'll see this right now because you're watching it live. And Evan, I think you had some hot takes this episode.
Thank you.
Could I call you the victor?
Ooh.
We're going to get a special guest in here next time. Tez Shantez. That could be true or not. We'll find out.
Oh, man.
May
What's
I?
it going to be? The Bible?
Dictionary. You get to choose the word of the day next week, y'all.
You'll find out.
Break the conditioning and return to ancient wisdom.